Hello and welcome, Cosmic Quantum Travelers, for another installment of a Cosmic Energy Update. I wanted to come online again, always as guided. It's never really a time schedule, as you may have noticed, because I wanted to share a few last navigational tips before we go what looks like very much the event anytime happening now. We're already in event mode. I mean, ultimately, it started at the end of January, the 27th, when the love tsunami really took off, but it has been building and building, and we're literally going through the final purification and the shift in the consciousness from distorted polarity and victim-victimizer consciousness to unity consciousness, God source consciousness. And that's very much what's happening at the moment. And it's been very intense. Many of us have been triggered right, left, and center as the consciousness is resolving itself, reconciling itself, and we are trying to bring coherence and healing to the consciousness. So that's why I want to come online one more time to share with you. First of all, I'm doing an activation for Easter Sunday. Finally, I mean, do you feel the shift that has happened just over the last night again? So from, what do we even have? Thursday to Friday. Very different Good Friday energy than to what it usually is. I mentioned this in my Divine Mother Healing post about the the dark magic or the black magic grids basically being dysfunctional now, and that they wouldn't be able to, what they usually do, have kind of rituals around, the holiday season, such as this one especially. And as you can feel, it's not happening, or at least it's not working. And I was shown this beforehand. We did the work beforehand. It's amazing work, everyone doing their thing, knowingly and unknowingly, because often also we do a lot of these things without being consciously aware of in our dream time, or sometimes just walking the grids, also nice things when you can just sound wherever you're walking to clear and open the energies up and lifting the vibration and frequency of the places you go to and visit is always a beautiful idea. So anyway, so I'm doing a activation in connection to what's happening, which is basically to support the resurrection of our crystal avatar self, so our ascended self, which we're quantum merging with. And I hope you can feel these quantum timeline shifts happening right now. It's literally, this is quantum timeline mechanics. As we are aligning with our true self, our God source self, we are also aligning with that original reality, that original the one true organic ascension timeline, as I call it, which is based in God source consciousness, in unity consciousness. And basically, it's a reversal of the thought forms and beliefs we have been accustomed to and have been conditioned by for eons. So it's not a small feat. Obviously, we're doing this for a while, but it's right now coming to its climax, as we can maybe see with a lot of the pathologies and the ego distortions, the psychosis coming up to be seen for what it is. So there are a lot of aha moments, a lot of acknowledgement of also wounds and triggers and why we are the way we are and why other people are the way they are. And before I get more into this, I just want to finish. So this activation is going to help us to resurrect our crystal avatar self and also to merge with the cosmic mind. So it's literally us dying upon our old self. It's a good time for that right now. Our ego self, our false artificial self, because it's literally a set of artificial algorithms. And that is also connected to, I'm being shown, to AI and artificial intelligence. Because it's basically connected, because if you think about AI, who programs it, who came up with it, who invented it, it's still the human, okay? It comes from there, even though now it's automated, parasitic thought forms that have been pushed through the grids, through various technologies and many other things, mind control, programming, and so forth, on many different levels. Anyway, as this is all being dismantled, and literally, it's, I mean, amazing shifts just over the last 24 hours again, and over the last few days. I mean, every day, just amazing, as well as challenging. So as we are releasing our false self, this will also override the AI, and it will literally dissolve these artificial realities, because it's literally interlinked, because it's the artificial mind that has created these realities. So the inverted false self, okay, which it started off, as I've talked about in the last two videos, with us really with false projections. And then it kind of spiraled from there with people, you know, not owning and not doing their, you know, owning their shadow, but projecting it onto others, other people allowing it, playing the victim. So, and then it became very distorted from there on. Okay, we, I mean, in short form, to simplify it, us as frequency holders, we dropped in frequency. We couldn't hold it anymore. We dropped in consciousness. And obviously we see now how far we can drop as a consciousness now. So it's up to us to raise the consciousness again, because that raises the overall consciousness, as we all know. Okay, so it's for us to do this. And what I'm observing is that especially the narcissistic archetype has a lot of problems right now. And those who are, you know, in cognitive dissonance, or very attached still to their 3D identity, are finding it impossible to see beyond their conditioning, because there is just a huge level of, you know, inability to self-reflect, because the judgment of the human is so big of what's right and wrong and good and bad, that if they would literally do that shadow work, you literally need to face everything, the deepest, darkest crevices of human existence and your own and the collective consciousness. Okay, and that can tear you apart. So that's why sometimes if you have, you know, a strong awakening, you're not prepared, it can get you in a psychosis. So that's what we're trying to prevent right now. So we are here the ones who can see things for what they are, okay? And even if we're being attacked, or, you know, we're being affected by those people around us not being able to heal themselves and, you know, self-reflect and maybe be open enough to work on themselves right now, we are there to literally help and aid their healing by dropping all of our resistance and all of our judgment to what is unfolding, by understanding it. So if you get angry, if you go into judgment, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It always shows you there's something off, okay? Just go beneath it, go beyond it, transcend it, alchemize it, and then transform it into wisdom of understanding why the person is the way they are, because it's an aspect of source we're trying to integrate as becoming one with the cosmic mind, to understand the cosmic mind, which is the mind of all, okay? And to purify those pathologies, correct them, but not from a judgmental place, just from a discerning place of seeing the insanity for what it is without going mad ourselves, which is already the biggest challenge. And then to aid the healing by seeing everything, like everyone and everything really, in their original innocence. The same with the planetary body. Right now, it's just overwriting, overlaying the original perfection on top of the distortions. Okay, see it for what it is, discerning. Also, obviously, you know, have your boundaries, have your discernment of what you know, sometimes we need to distance ourselves from people, but that doesn't mean you can't work through what came up on your end, you know, even if the other person might not be able to really talk through it with you, but you can actually resolve it for them, for the both of you, because it's happening on both ends, and they're just your polar opposites in that matter. If you're getting triggered and in judgment, okay, and something, anger or whatever, frustration, whatever it might be. Now we're going to then go within, go into meditation, however you like to, you know, self-reflect on what has happened and see where the other person is coming from. Try to understand why they're acting the way they are, and see, especially with a narcissistic, egocentric type archetypes, that they literally have so much guilt and shame. If they would look at what's beneath there, they cannot look. It's just too much. Okay, it will literally tear them apart because they're in too much judgment of the human condition to identify it with their persona, their human self, their role here, that they cannot go beyond to just, see it from an observer standpoint and say, okay, that wasn't so great, but I've learned from it now, and then I won't do this in the future, because that's the only way we can really learn. Okay. But so people like me who are doing this literally as a full-time job of transmuting all of this stuff are here to really drop really, really deep, work through any remaining triggers, any judgment, any anger, resolve it, understand why the person is the way they are, and release it in the field through compassionate witnessing. And just because as soon as you release the resistance to what they're doing or what they're portraying, even if it causes issues in the field, but as soon as you release the resistance, it actually can heal within them, and you will see it release, and it won't come up anymore. Because the problem is, as long as we still judge or resist anything, we keep feeding it, yeah, and fighting. Now, easier said than done, but that's what we're here for. And that can actually only happen if we are transcending our ego, because it's the ego that wants to defend and to takes it personal and who gets angry and so forth. The higher self, the God self, can see it from the highest perspective whilst not allowing the pathologies to continue, because we do need to call it out. Very important. And it's the frequency, it's our frequency of confidence, of knowing, because the narcissistic archetype will use our biggest insecurities and traumas against us. And so it's kind of a false reflection, but it's also then a true reflection, because it's still something within us, you see. So they're helping us to bring it up, but then we need to go and say, okay, wait, those are things that other people told me I am. This is not really who I am at all. And, or, whatever, you just go through it, but then you sort it out for yourself, so you know what are your strengths and your weaknesses, so nobody can hurt you or try and, trigger you with that anymore. So no, don't allow any gaslighting, don't allow anyone twisting things around on you, that anger isn't spiritual or any of those things. Yes, we want to go beyond it, but, obviously there's a lot of inversions happening, and especially when we try to talk with that archetype. Okay, and the super empath is really here right now to heal the narcissistic archetype, so it can collapse these two, the narcissist and the codependent and the victim victimizer, that totally these archetypes need to collapse right now. And the super empath, who was the codependent victim, needs to totally release that role, and then the whole game totally dissolves. I mean, we've already been working on that over the last year and a bit, but obviously it's now fully releasing and deleting that whole programming from the consciousness, and it's overwritten and replaced by sovereignty software. And that's not really software, but we just call it like that. And it's really just words to describe it. That's like kind of the basis now. It's a whole new set of belief systems and thought forms, but really it comes from the Godhead. So that's what we have to align with now. But we can only do this when we transcend our ego, so we don't get triggered anymore. So we can really hold the highest frequency. We can hold the 0 point field, which collapses all of these pathologies and all of the false realities, all of the AI, all of that stuff in super extra quantum God speed, super extra fast. Quantum God speed, because it is happening, and literally imminently this is all going to be blitzed. And what we are basically doing is preventing a whole mass psychosis from happening from the people who wouldn't be able or are not able yet to face the inversions within the consciousness, and that we've basically been living in a mass psychosis. It's enough to drive everyone mad. Obviously, we know from what we know already, but even that is inverted, a lot of the stuff. So we are going through that shift. And because we've already, and we obviously have trained for this so many lifetimes, okay, for this moment now. So own this. This is your crystal avatar self. When you merge with that embodiment, that's how it activates. Huge DNA and especially plasma light body activation at the moment. Also part of the activation. I leave the details beneath. So that's on Sunday at 10 p.m. And we will focus on holding the 0 point field, stabilizing this for ourselves in the field. When we do this together, it gets very, very much amplified. And finally, I have enough energy now with basically the job almost super finished and done. The grids are sparkling and ready to rock and roll. Okay, so it's about us becoming an empty vessel for source to flow through us, for us to connect to the God mind, the Godhead, become one with it, and then be the broadcasting system for that. And for that, we have to strip down all these pathologies and literally die of the ego. So sacrifice your ego on behalf of all. Okay, and it's literally, it's the only way to liberation as I see it. I'm really, from experience, as the 3 M flares were going off early on, we had like almost 4 hours of M flares. Wow, just no mind, totally dropping into the vast consciousness of all that is, and just becoming nothingness, dissolving, weightless, limitless, eternal. Okay, and this is liberation. And this dissolves all these pathologies right now. So these flares are literally burning off all the crap right now. Okay, so we are here to hold the field and aid the healing. And as we heal this within them, we heal it with mass, because it's just the opposite end. Because the codependent narcissists literally have the same core wounds. It's just that certain things went a bit differently, and one ended up codependent, the other one the narcissist. Okay, but both have issues with boundaries and discernment and, all of these things. But we are not, if you used to be codependent, someone's trying to project on you, you just need to say, no, it's not okay. Go within again to see maybe what is correct or what you could improve on, but also give the feedback to the other person of what is not correct. We need to stand up. So again, because I said what went wrong is that we just let other people project onto us. Okay. And again, we all do this. We all have these narcissistic traits and codependent. It's just that, depending on which stage in life we're at or who we are, we have certain archetypes running more strongly in us than others. But we are here now to literally let go of all this and transcend this beyond even our spiritual identities of who we think we are and what we're here to do, and literally descend and dissolve into the source, the God source, the cosmic mind, and become one with it. And that's how we're anchoring this. This is how we're sending this out. This is how we're stabilizing the field. This is how the grid comes online, all in divine timing, obviously. That's why we are becoming empty vessels for source to become divine will embodied. And in my experience, for those who might not, understand what I'm doing, why I'm not, for example, I'm not offering private sessions since October, and I hadn't been doing any activations or anything since March, because I am at all times over the last many years since my activation being driven by my guidance, which is basically becoming divine will embodied. So transcending any of my ego attachments, I had to let it all go, literally. Okay, there's nothing for me to hold on to as such. And obviously, I still had to let a little bit more go. Got majorly triggered the last few days. Anyway, we learn, we grow, and then these releases are also needed. But ultimately, it's, for example, I really want a home for myself. And, it's hard to explain to my daughter why I'm not, going out to get a job and, earn money to provide for her. But ultimately, I know what I'm here to do. And that drive is so strong because I don't want her or any other child to live in a world like this. I mean, she doesn't even know she's freaking enslaved and what's happening. But this is a nightmare, and we are responsible. And not whatever it takes, but ultimately, yeah, I always say within reason. But I mean, it has pushed me to beyond any normal person. I would this is not, a fun life, but I know that what I have to do, and it might not make sense to anyone else because I need to push for all these programs. It's literally going in reverse to what's expected of you. And especially around the money. Lately, even though, I need it more than ever in a sense, I cannot do anything unless it's guided to. And I've just been guided to do it on donation. If I would do session, I would ask for an appropriate price. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Everybody can just follow their guidance because it doesn't need to make sense. And most of the time it doesn't make any sense. to the mind, but it's beyond that, because that's the cosmic mind. It's not linear thinking. It's not algorithms that can be predicted by AI. It's quantum, and it's beyond what the little mind can try and comprehend. And that's what we need to access now, because the consciousness we're here to access and anchor has not been accessed before. So it's totally new. So forget everything you knew from before. Just let it go, nothing to hold on to. If it's right, it will come back to you. You know, I mean, what are we afraid of leaving? And just be the vessel for source and literally just sacrifice it all. Because what's on the other end, you just need to let go of your attachments. Okay. It's the attachments to what we think we are and what we need. But release it all, you know, to collapse it in the quantum space for the highest time and the highest possibilities to come in and through from source, not from our little ego mind self. That just has to go. Because again, the ego self is what creates these distorted realities. And we just need to cancel, clear, delete. And that's happening. And I hope you can all feel it. It's massive. Okay, so much resistance gone, so much more peace, so much more love, huge activations in the grids. It's all here. It's all happening now. And the last thing that's needed is full ego death and full emerge with the cosmic mind, to merge with our crystal avatar self, to fully bring these realities online that are already there. We just can't see it yet. Literally, there is so much that has happened already. And it's just in a blink of an eye, in divine timing. That's not up to us, but I really feel it's super extra imminent. It will happen. And we will awaken from the dream, which is the dream of illusion, and that we're separate from one another. And it's the ego self. And again, the false ego self equals artificial realities. So as we merge with our true God soul self, we get true organic realities. And this is all projected inside out from our DNA. Okay, it might seem far off at times, but I believe most of us can feel the huge changes that have happened, although it's been very testing. Yeah, again, with what's been going on the last few days. Especially, so take it easy, rest, hydrate, meditate, go into nature, especially the next few days. Take part in the activation if you like. Thank you so much for your donations. If you're taking part or in general, thank you so much, because it makes what I do possible. And to come back also to the money that I mentioned last time. So when we also go to a point system, what we will also see, so there will always be, you know, exchanges, because it has to be an equal give and take. Okay, that's what we need to get right here, because there's a lot of, obviously, with what has happened so far, what people are giving and what people are earning money for, and what we actually believe abundance is, because abundance is also what we had, or, you know, we had to sacrifice money for, to get time for ourselves, to work on ourselves, you know, not having a home maybe to ourselves by not doing a full-time job and so forth. So there are certain sacrifices we also had to make, but that is a different kind of abundance we're anchoring here. And this is also why, you know, I can't offer even what I love doing if I need the money, because that would just be another program that I have to break through. I'm being shown for everyone that we don't have to do anything as such in order to make money. Of course, we always contribute, but I'm also obviously contributing. I mean, there's just so much anyone can do. I've been really exhausted. I do so much grit and gate work. There's just so much I can do. And I always, every day, share, really. So that also needs to be rectified within us. So I need to, you know, relax more, take more care of myself. I need to merge with that version of myself that I want to be. Okay. And that does only create out of guidance and bliss, and when I feel like it. But also, obviously, when I get the guidance, I might be tired and I still come online. Yeah. So it's not just, you get me, it's also pushing, and it's also discipline and, you know, certain parts of it. But ultimately, we're here to anchor these new blueprints. And also, what is abundance? You know, because we're going to go away from the money. We really focus on, you know, it's time with our friends, it's having loving relationships, it's following, you know, doing what you love, loving what you do. That's abundance. You know, time with your children, all of these things. What's really important. So that's what we're anchoring now. But there will always be exchanges, and we also will be bartering and exchanging things, you know. So, but we need to be able to value things, obviously. So that's why it's also important to, you know, again, all I do is really a gift to all of you. But if you can give a donation, especially if you take part in activations or find, you know, the recorded activations helpful, or the videos I do, I am very grateful. And then I also feel supported and appreciated, which is really nice. So thank you very much for all your support, everyone. So over the next few days, very much I will be spending a lot of meditation, nature, rest, silence, letting any remaining ego distortions be released back to source. And literally, before you go to bed at night, ask for that. Before you meditate, I mean, throughout the day, take it from me, you know. But that's really what it boils down to. I mean, I do the meditation, I literally feel the energy being lifted from me, you know, however you imagine this into your energy work. I work, you know, in different ways with that. Also my own activations that I listen to, they also have helped me a lot. Reprogram your mind and merge with source, I think, is one of the activations that's very good. New Earth Now I listened to today, and the healing, the divine healing activation again. So I find them very supportive. And for the activation on Sunday, you can listen to the DNA, Diamond Grid, and Plasma Light Body activation. It's almost an hour long if you want to listen to anything, but ultimately silence. I'm going to do a lot of silence, a lot of meditation, just going beyond the mind, because again, our little mind cannot sort out the psychosis that's out there because it has created it, in a sense. Okay, so to a certain extent, yeah, we're resolving this and rewriting the consciousness, re-encrypting it. Okay. But on the other hand, it's also just full surrender to source. So the coordinate from source is full embodiment, as I said, through 0-point neutrality, holding that whilst we feel what we need to feel and release it. Okay, this is very highly alchemical work. We need to feel it to release it and look, but for everyone together in a sense, and get over our ego self of what's whose and what we want to do or not, and just get this job done now on behalf of all. Okay, through the embodiment of the 0-point field, divine neutrality, compassion, deeper levels of love. And that's also how we gain wisdom, and that's how we heal our own DNA, and it's when how we become whole. So it really is a gift, however challenging it sometimes is. So the more challenging it is, the more I sometimes go, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I know it's a gift, and I know I've chosen this. Okay, everything, every experience, I've co-created and chosen. That's the total dissolution of the victim mindset of thinking anyone, anything has power over us and over our reality. But then we also need to fully own the responsibility and accountability for our realities. And we do this on behalf of all. And these are the new templates and new serenity templates that are going in, and that then become available to all as enough of us are doing this, the 100 monkey effect, and it shifts the whole collective consciousness. And I can already see it happening. Massive perception shifts in perception, which shifts the realities, okay? All from the inside out in our DNA. So yeah, I would just drop into nothingness, become one with all that is, merge with source, merge with it all. That's divine union within, that's ascension. That's the awakening, the disclosure from within, all connected to the grids, our crystals within, and then these crystals send us out to all the others, connecting with the crystalline grid system. That's also planetary brain and neuroplasticity, bringing the new programming fully online. Okay, new way of thinking, new way of relating, new way of living, a new life, a new reality. Okay, that's what's ahead. That's what's here now, literally. Merge with it already happening now, because it is, the event is in full force. Nothing is stopping this. There's literally nothing left of the old realities besides the illusion of them. Okay, literally hanging by a little like the veil is so thin. It's literally just so thin. I can't get the right word right now, but like not even paper thin. It's much thinner than that. Okay, obviously. So anyway, it's all for us to lift by us being as truthful as we can be and brave as we can be, as loving as we can be, and just lifting the veils of illusion, of separation that we found ourselves in, releasing the inversions with a lot of love and a lot of compassion, okay, on behalf of all. And just let it all go. Let's awaken from this nightmare to dream a dream that works for all, okay, based on unity and on the law of one, being connected to the Godhead, all of us, one with the cosmic mind, and knowing ourselves as one with all of life everywhere. And this is much, that goes much beyond just this earthly plane. And just know that you will know what you need to know when you need to know it. It will all come in, the instruction sets, it's all unlocking. There's so much data coming in, huge activations, obviously, of the heart as this, you know, as we're opening up in compassion more and more and more and understanding the back as well, healing all these wounds because they're really based also on the inverted thought forms. As they're all clear, the wounds can heal, okay? Because the shift in perception is really what heals it, not time. And third eye and crown, obviously huge activations, and this whole golden halo is really our new transmitter and receiver of the God source consciousness that we're here to transmit to everyone. And literally, if enough of us awakening can do this now and hold this, it's done. I mean, it's already done, but obviously, you know, we can do our bit to make it happen because we are here to, it's not just happening to us. We are here to, again, align with divine will, and then we know exactly what our job is. Okay, it's not what the ego thinks. So just surrender to it, surrender to source, let it all go, because divine intervention is here, but we're also helping make it happen by becoming the empty vessels for source, for the Holy Spirit to fulfill us and be one with it. That's Ascension. So for the ones who are up for this, join me. The links to the activations and the, you know, the SoundCloud activations and the remote activation on Sunday is below. So again, it's a remote activation. We will connect in a meditative space, but you can listen to your music or be in silence, but there is no live video or audio or anything. Okay, that's just, I can't enter this any differently into Facebook still, obviously. They haven't advanced much. So yeah, I hope you are enjoying these energies. Also, I'd put a link to the accompanying post because it had some more information. In general, I shared this already. A lot of beautiful mother energies are literally overwriting and healing the blueprints back to their perfection with upgrades, okay? And really try and see the innocence and the original perfection, everything. Okay, like remember your higher dimensional form and that of the real reality, because this is inverted false. So imagine it all upside down, if you will. And there's also a lot of aqualine, so aqua blue energies coming in, mother-daughter codes. There has been a lot of mother healing, as I mentioned. That's really healing the mother line, but also the Holy Trinity, because again, it has a lot to do with the DNA and mitochondrial DNA being carried over by the mother line. And as this heals, it also heals the masculine within us all and the Trinity, okay? The divine child, Holy Mother, Holy Father, and that's the Divine Trinity, which is being birthed now also for the Trinity Christ codes, which are flowing in and overwriting the bi-wave frequencies. And so much plasma literally has been re-encrypting our consciousness. And as the consciousness shifts and we shift to unity consciousness, God source consciousness, it's already behind the scenes re-encrypting the physical material reality. So as I was mentioning, platonic solids, elementals, and the periodic table expanding and changing. Okay, because again, it's all based on slightly wrong maths so far. So be what more love is always the answer. Be source. Still, again, you know, boundaries and discernment super important, but come from love, because only the ego gets offended and defensive and angry and so forth. Again, it's fine if it comes up, but just go deeper and regroup. A lot of meditation, charging up is advised right now. Maybe prevent too much interactions because it's wild out there, and just protect your space and don't get distracted. Okay, don't let anyone take you off your path right now. All right, so just be strong, do it with a lot of love, but also firmness. Okay, this is not for the weak of heart. We really need also, just be firm and say no more, and just don't play the games anymore. All right, and then the game stops, and it's happening through everything we do, everything we think, feel, every interaction right now. And this also resolves all these karmic relationships and loads. And there's a lot of karmic healing, bloodline healing happening also through these Aquarial codes, the mother-daughter codes. It's all, through the karmic lines, the ancestral lines. That's a lot clearing to release all these karmic storylines. And we can only release all these karmic storylines and these, constant karmic recycling ultimately as we release karma altogether. And that only happens when we understand everybody's just playing a role, and we literally dissolve karma in letting it all go. Not wanting retribution, just understanding we have learned our lessons, and now we're quantum leaping to the organic ascension realities. Watch my last video if you want to know a little bit more about this, of what I mean by that, instead of maybe looking at a timeline of some disclosure you're hoping to happen, and some Nuremberg trials that is going to disclose all the terrible people. I believe we will know in a new timeline what has happened, who did what. Everybody will already be, kind of sorted out. But it's not about making them pay, okay? It's not about that. Those that have chosen unity consciousness and the new timeline, they will receive rehabilitation and will already have had the adjustments within the consciousness, and the rest is being returned to source, along with the whole lower consciousness band. It's really just the whole lower consciousness band, but it can only happen from when we have the neutrality and the divine love to even the most horrible of creatures, to stop judging it, understanding where it comes from, okay? Because we need to understand how it has come this far for it to never happen again. But I know that the cosmic mind has already resolved this. So trust this. You cannot see this from your little human mind. You literally need to become the cosmic mind, okay? Let it all go. Connect through your heart, okay, and become one with it naturally, like a child would do, to try and connect with God, really innocently, naturally, organically from your heart, okay, in meditation, and just become, literally let your mind go, and then connect with that vertically. You can use some of my activations that should help you get into that, and become one with it. And the answers will come that you are seeking, but they are beyond what we know now. Okay, let them be revealed to you. So nothing to hold on to, become one with it all. It's time for rebirth. Let's quantum leap. Okay, this is happening. Merge with that already happening now. Okay, it's already done. And everything changes within the blink of an eye, and it already is changing. I think we can all see this by now. Okay, so thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope it was helpful, and I see you. Loads of love, many blessings. Bye bye.